The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Good morning, Lake Norman. Welcome to Connecting Cornelius. This is program number 1, dedicated to connecting listeners to people that make Lake Norman, the area, a great place to live, work, and play. I'm your host, Denis Bilodeau. I am the mayor of Cornelius, and I just hope that you know who I am. I hope you know a little bit about me. We just went through an election, but I've lived here in Cornelius for 24 years, been on the town board for 3 terms, and now 3 weeks into the mayorship. So welcome. We're going to connect you with some people that make it happen in Cornelius, in and around the lake. And with me today is Mayor Pro Tem Mike Osborne. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor Bilodeau. Appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Mike has been involved for quite a few years now, third term, with transportation items. So we will be dissecting transportation as we go through the morning here or through the show. But I also wanted you to connect with Mike and get to know a little bit about him, at least as much as he's willing to share.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dennis. You know, we get to talk in snippets all the time. So today we'll elaborate a little bit, and hopefully people will get a chance to get to know me.
You know, I did get to know your parents quite well during the election season. Sandy and Bill Osborne are just a dream parent team to promote their son through the campaign, and I really do appreciate the family feel and how you organized your campaign. So tell us a little bit how you roped in the parents to spend that time at the polls.
Good bourbon and no, just kidding. So, you know, my parents are great. You know, they just moved down into Davidson during COVID. We actually showed them my house, via my laptop, and there was no way for them to get down here and actually see it. But we saw a good house and asked them to come down here and be closer to the grandkids. And I refer to my parents as, my secret weapon during the campaign season. And they just love being involved. They like being around people. Family is very important to me and to them. And my existing family, my wife Kelly and my 2 daughters, one that's in high school, still a junior at Lake Norman Charter, and one that's a freshman at USC. But I loved having them out there on the campaign trail with me and working together as a family. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And as I said, you're always organized in your campaigns, and they're very well done. What was your focus this campaign?
Yeah, so what I wanted to do during this campaign season was really get out and do workshops with the community. I think people were kind of tired of, really just yelling. If they were going to come out, they wanted something to happen with their voices. And so I would actually go into the community and try to promote doing an active workshop, maybe something that I learned how to do as a consultant at Ernst & Young.
Yeah, excellent. And you mentioned bourbon. I know you might be a bourbon guy, but how about other pastimes? You visit the mountains regularly? Are you a skier? What takes up your pastime other than this Mayor Pro Tem?
Yeah, well, certainly being Mayor Pro Tem will allow you to spend as much time in it as you want to. So there's almost no end in that. But our family does love going up to the mountains. We go over to Banner Elk all the time. I stole one of my daughters who's home from college already last week to ski in that powder that we just got, North Carolina powder. We've already been up to ski at beach this year, but we love going up there. We love hiking. One of our traditions is on New Year's Day doing a new hike every year. So we've taken in some incredible hikes. We do like exploring the area and, even doing things. We have a place we visit up there often. And, we love doing campfires, just being in the community and getting out there. We do find solace and, enjoyment in the mountains.
And I imagine, so you're here by the lake, you've got the mountains, but now you travel down to South Carolina, probably cheering on the team. Have you converted to a Gamecock fan?
It was kind of like becoming a father. One day you're not a father, and the next day you are. So you might not be ready for it, but it happens. And I can tell you, I never had that experience of SEC football growing up, or even tailgating like that. And it's quite an experience. They know how to do it at USC, and we did make that a big part of our fall. We went down there for quite a few games and tailgated and went to watch the Gamecocks.
Awesome. Well, things will get better, right?
They can only get better.
Better
They can
years to
only
come.
get better. We're optimistic, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been a Cubs fan, growing up outside of Chicago. So I know what it's like to be patient for your sports team. And, even here in Carolina with the Panthers, most of us know what that feels like now, too.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
A good year this year, unexpectedly good. So hopefully good things happen going forward. This weekend, a big game with Tampa Bay. But, tell me a little bit more about your background. So you're not a native from North Carolina.
That's right. Yeah. Like most of us, I came from somewhere else. My path was not very direct. But there were multiple stops on the way. I was actually born in Ohio, so I'm a Buckeye.
Okay.
And I don't remember it because I moved when I was so young. My dad, that you had mentioned, worked for a oil company, Unocal, and traveled in the corporate world quite a bit. But we went from there to Illinois, moved to Atlanta when I was about 5. Moved to Stone Mountain, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta when I was about 5. Lived there till I was about 11. If you can remember, if we're going to talk about sports, that's when Herschel Walker was such a big thing. So that was my first experience of seeing anyone famous, really, in my lifetime, was Herschel Walker. And you would have thought could have walked on water. But then I moved back to Illinois and happened to be there all the way through my high school years. So, but on the way there, I actually had a 1-year pit stop in Washington, D.C. So I was in D.C. in 1983, where I got to see the Redskins win the Super Bowl. So went back to Illinois, and I was in Illinois all the way through the rest of high school, but I got to be there when the 85-86 Bears dominated the league. So that was a real fun time to be a sports fan in Chicago.
Yeah, well, we certainly want our listeners to know a lot more about you, Mike, and college, for example. What was your experience? What was your major?
Sure. Yeah, great. So, I knew I wanted to get back to the Southeast, and I found my way back to Furman University. So I got my undergraduate degree down there, small school in Greenville, South Carolina, and got it's a liberal arts college, so I got just a business administration degree there. But then later sought out a MBA at Wake Forest after working for about 7 years at a company called C.H. Robinson Company, which is a logistics organization.
Oh, awesome. Well, we're here today connecting with Mayor Pro Tem Mike Osborne. We're going to be back after a short break to hear more about Mike's experiences and maybe a little bit about AI, since he's an AI fanatic. So we'll be back shortly.
We'll be right back with more Connecting Cornelius, your source for town updates, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, keep the rain gear close by. A few scattered showers as we move through the morning and midday, but more widespread rain. You can see half an inch or more on the way as we go into this evening and into tonight. A couple of showers may even linger into our Friday morning. They were clearing and breezy. Temperatures in the low 50s were pretty mild, even getting near 60 over the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, this is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Bin 110 in Cornelius presents 4 nights of live music and entertainment. Wednesday, December 17th, come on out for karaoke. Thursday, the 18th, features a performance by Ryan Winters. On Friday, Vinyl Live takes the stage, while Save July presents a concert on Saturday. Click on bin110.com to see their live music lineup, their specialty cocktails and whiskeys, and the food menu. Friday night is the Mistletoe Sip and Shop in downtown Mooresville. Starting at 6 p.m., businesses will have open houses. There will be a strolling barbershop quartet, festive decor, loads of seasonal specials, plus good eats and drinks. Visit downtownmooresville.com for more information. It's happening downtown. Saturday is the Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. The boats will start at Blythe Landing, then head to Ramsey Creek, the Peninsula Yacht Club, and end at the Duke Energy Explorium. The parade is collecting toys for Little Smiles, which gives toys to kids in area hospitals. For more information, head to the Facebook event page, 7th Annual Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. On Saturday, Fortune 5 is performing at the Cedar Stump Pub in Statesville. This 2024 Battle of the Bands winner brings their high-energy show to the Stump. Showtime is 9 p.m. at the pub on East Broad Street. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now and runs through January 4th. The drive-through holiday light show features more than 5 million lights circling the iconic oval, pit road, and infield road course. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets and information on Speedway Christmas. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
We're back with more updates from the town of Cornelius. Connecting Cornelius continues right now, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
And we're back, Connecting Cornelius. This is Cornelius Mayor Denis Bilodeau, and today we're connecting with Mike Osborne, who is Mayor Pro Tem. He was the lead vote getter, over 5,000 votes, I believe, in the last election. It was a runaway for Mike and a good choice for Mayor Pro Tem. He's got a lot of good experience, a lot of great experience. And what I wanted to do is shift a little bit more so you get to know Mike and the business he is in, the business he sold, and what he's passionate about from a business standpoint. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about your background, your business, and what you've been into.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dennis. And I think a lot of people after the election said to me, "Oh, Mike, you only got 4,999 votes. Don't you wish you just got the one more?" Well, it turns out, about, a week or two later, they published the final stats, and I did actually break 5,000. So that was kind of cool, right?
Good for you.
People would stop talking to me about that, right?
Yeah.
So, but professionally, I really just got into transportation because I needed a job. So after I graduated from college, it was in 1992. The economy was a little slow, and I was offered a job at a company called C.H. Robinson, which was a transportation management company themselves, or 3PL. And I went to go work for them, and I worked for them for 7 years, and I got my master's at Wake Forest while I was working full time.
Very cool. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And tell us about your company and where you are with that.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So after the 7 years and getting my MBA, I had to make a decision. Did I want to continue to work for them or do something different? I easily could have worked for them for a long time and decided that I would go off on my own and try to do something, because at the time it was the year 2000. It was like the dot-com boom, right? Everything was going to be dot-com, and yet we were doing everything the old-fashioned way, and I couldn't handle it anymore. I had to bring it online, like, what we see Travelocity like today I wanted to do for the transportation world. And so I quit and was ready to do that, and then I real quickly learned that, one, I didn't know enough. I couldn't do it. I didn't know executives well enough. I didn't know how to approach them. I didn't know how to present to them, and I didn't know enough about technology. And so I jumped back into consulting. I worked for a company called Ernst & Young. They got bought by Capgemini Ernst & Young, which allowed me to learn a lot more about technology and presenting to executives. After doing that for a while, about 4 or 5 years, I was ready to do it again. So I started my own company again. It was Ship Transportal. And the goal was always, really to allow our customers to ship with confidence, but I enjoyed bringing efficiency to the industry. It's what I wanted to do. And so I spent the next, 20 years trying to build a company that was extremely efficient. I loved the technology of it. We used what some people might call artificial intelligence, not generative,
Right.
artificial intelligence, but a lot of business rules. We used agents. We hear about that today. So I've been around this type of technology for quite a while. But just 2 years ago, I had the opportunity to sell the business and, took it. And, timing wise, I think it's fantastic because now we have this new thing called AI, not really new, but it's really generative AI. And it reminds me an awful lot of where I was in 2000, where I was super excited about the .com days. Now I'm super excited about the AI days that are upon us.
Yeah. Well, when you talk about the days, I'm still thinking about the dates you just gave me as far as your school days, and I'm a lot older than you, Mike. I knew that going in, but boy, I think your background, and I first met Mike Osborne as a planning board. I believe you were a planning board member, and I noticed that you had some very, very solid contribution, a lot of good thinking and thought. And when you decided to run for commission as a commissioner, I was very supportive. I thought you were exactly what we needed. So your background, and we could talk a little bit about how that helps you with what you did as a business owner, what you learned as a planning board member, and now multiple terms as commissioner. How did that all come together for you?
Right. Wow. So, I can tell you that, it's never one thing, but I can remember the very moment in time where, the idea crystallized and I had made my actual decision I was going to run for town board. I was walking to my office in Davidson at the time from my car, and it just dawned on me, hey, I've been complaining a lot lately. I've been complaining to my family. I've been complaining to my friends. And I always tell my family, we have dinner every night, and we always talk. And I always try to make the point, like, don't sit around and complain. Like, either do something about it or, basically shut up, right?
Yeah.
And it just dawned on me on this little walk to the office that morning that, man, I've been complaining a lot. I have a choice to make. Am I going to shut up or am I going to try to do something about it? And by it, I mean, some of the approvals for the apartments and heavily densely populated apartment buildings and things of that nature without the infrastructure improvements is mostly what I was complaining about. And so I decided, you know what, I'm not going to shut up about it. I'm going to run for commissioner. And I hope that, if nothing else, it sets a good example for my kids. I'm not going to just talk about it and complain. I'm going to do something.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a little over 5,000 people. I agree with your approach. And having been a commissioner, I know that you get 1 vote out of 5. And when you try to bring forward your message and what you're trying to establish, it can be challenging at times. I think the world of this current board and how you get along to, you basically have good discussions, very professional, polite. I've been on boards where that's not always the case. So when you think about the board that you're with now, and pretty much the board moved over intact except for one position. And of course, we're very fortunate to have Colin Furch come back as a commissioner. He's also planning board experience. But as you go through the discussions, talk me through how that dynamic works for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So there has been a lot of continuity. There have been some changes over there, but overall, there's been a decent amount of continuity. And the fact is, a lot of us ran or were in touch with each other during the first campaign and had some very similar ideas and concepts about what we wanted to see happen in the town. We definitely approach things differently. We don't always agree on the details, but we all back then all kind of came together and said, yes, there is a problem here. We need to really work on infrastructure before we allow too much more development, and we see a need to respond. So luckily, there hasn't been too much to overcome as far as that goes. But my role, we all have different roles on the board. It is interesting to see it unfold. We have some people that are very good at formalizing statements in ways that make a lot of sense and that are easy to understand and grasp. They're great communicators. That's not me, typically. We have other people that want to just get, right to the point and have a solution. So they're trying to drive to solutions. The one thing that I definitely try to do with the board is, think about things or approaches that haven't been done or taken before, or take the opportunity sometimes to step back and think out of the box. Because to me, if it was easy, if it was already done, or if there's an obvious statement, I don't want to use my chance to speak really to state the obvious, but rather I want to challenge the board. I want to challenge myself. I want to challenge the staff. Have we thought about this? Have you considered this? I also want to open it's kind of like a design. We're somewhat designers in that role too, because we're designing the future of the town. But I also sometimes am giving permission to the rest of the board to step out, right?
Sure.
So I might say something that maybe sometimes someone might think is a little ridiculous or, out of bounds or something as far as, the concept goes, because it's so new or something they haven't thought of before. But it certainly gives them permission, not that they need it. They don't have to have permission, but it makes them more comfortable to provide some other out-of-the-box thinking. So I want to make sure the town is thinking out of the box. If we want to get something new done, then we have to think differently. And I'm trying to make that okay for this board. And I think this board's done a great job with it for sure.
Yeah, no, from day one, I felt the camaraderie, the ability to discuss things, and as you say, you may not always agree, but I do like the fact that you have that second term together under your belt. We have tremendous staff continuity with the town manager and his team, and as I'm stepping in now, a 3-week mayor, I've learned and I'm learning that I need to adjust. I'm not a commissioner anymore. I certainly can't dictate. I can advocate for certain things, and I'm finding it very easy to get into that flow and that conversation. And I'm witnessing exactly what you're saying. Who's playing what role? But there's some really good group thought and thinking going on. One of the things that we're in the middle of right now, and I know you're participating on it. You and I just had an interview. We're looking for town citizens that want to contribute on the various openings that we have, whether it's planning board, transportation advisory board, or park. And tell me what you're seeing. For me, I'm seeing more people step up, and the folks that I've talked to have the same philosophy, I think, as you do in terms of challenging but being professional, being polite. What's your take on the applicants?
So this has been one of my biggest surprises, I think, of being a commissioner. And I guess we'll get into some more details in a little bit. But I've been surprised at how much of Cornelius, how many of the citizens want to be involved, and in a serious way, how they want to make an impact. And it really reflects on how much the citizens of Cornelius love their town. I think we're really unique in that way. People will say they love their town. People in Cornelius are dedicated to seeing this become the best, what I would say, the best lakeside town in North Carolina.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a gem. And we're here this morning connecting with Cornelius. We're connecting with Mayor Pro Tem Mike Osborne, and we'll be back after a few commercials.
We'll be right back with more Connecting Cornelius, your source for town updates, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, keep the rain gear close by. A few scattered showers as we move through the morning and midday, but more widespread rain. You can see half an inch or more on the way as we go into this evening and into tonight. A couple of showers may even linger into our Friday morning. And we're clearing and breezy. Temperatures in the low 50s were pretty mild, even getting near 60 over the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Give the gift of wow. Shop at Harrison's. They'll be all smiles in new Carhartt. Ariat has layers they'll love, and there's nothing merrier than a pair of Tacovas. Find gifts for everyone at the home of Work Western and wow in Mooresville or at harrisonsusa.com.
Harness the healing power of horses. With the amazing staff at Willow Equine in Mooresville, we create a supportive environment conducive to healing and growth, dedicated to self-discovery and overcoming adversity. There's a program for you at willowequine.com.
Hello. Yes, I'm Andrea, the owner of Spotless Cleaning. Today I'm calling you to help you finish your Christmas shopping. My grandparents in Brazil taught me perfect gifts do not clutter and do not require dusting. But I will tell you, the perfect gifts does for you. Have our trained technicians wrapped under your tree this year. Well, you know what I mean. Gift cards. Give time and Christmas sparkle for all of 2026. Spotless Cleaning and Seed.com.
Need a ride? iCats has you covered. Tuesdays to the VA in Salisbury, Thursday to Winston-Salem, and Fridays to Hickory. Plus, run errands every day around Iredell County for just $1. Visit rideicats.com.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion is the king of price when it comes to buying a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle, but how about king of price when it comes to the service department? Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville has you covered on tires, brakes, batteries, wipers, you name it. Any service you need on your vehicle, regardless of the make or model, come see Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville Service Department or Randy Marion Ford Lincoln Service Department today.
Sip, savor, and smile at Patisserie Cafe in Mooresville, where buttery pastries meet bold coffee and bright conversation. Enjoy breakfast and lunch all day, Monday through Saturday, 8 to 3. From crepes and empanadas to Cuban sandwiches and cakes, there's something for everyone. Visit patisseriecafe.com.
But one objective.
Honey, can you turn that down?
Ladies.
Honey, can you turn it down?
Ever feel like your house is shaking every time your husband watches TV?
What?
Honey, can you turn it down?
That's not surround sound. That's hearing loss. Beltone in Mooresville and Cornelius can help. With expert hearing tests and top-quality hearing aids, you can finally enjoy your TV without shaking the whole neighborhood. Visit nchearing.com to schedule your free hearing test today. That's nchearing.com.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. On Wall Street, investors celebrating some good news on inflation. Underlying inflation rising in November at the slowest annual pace since early 2021, with the core consumer price index increasing only 2.6% from a year ago. But the findings were muddled by the government shutdown, which impacted the Bureau of Labor Statistics' ability to collect data on prices in October. Trump Media and Technology Group is merging with TAE Technologies in a transaction valued at more than $6 billion. The combined company plans to begin construction next year on the world's first utility-scale fusion power plant, subject to required approvals. And Chipotle jumping in on the protein craze with new menu items, including Meat in a Cup, its new high-protein menu launching this coming week. Features new grab-and-go cups with chicken or steak. The move targets snackers and looks to compete with protein bars and convenience stores. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
We're back with more updates from the Town of Cornelius. Connecting Cornelius continues right now, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Good morning, Lake Norman. We're back with Connecting Cornelius. We're connecting with Mike Osborne, who is the Mayor Pro Tem of Cornelius, someone that is really based in experience with a number of things, but particularly with the number one issue that came from our polling from last election, and that is traffic congestion, transportation. He's certainly involved to a large degree, and I wanted to give Mike a chance to explain a little bit about how his reach goes beyond just the streets of Cornelius, but also with his work with the transportation authorities and how he's involved throughout the corridor and throughout the Charlotte metropolitan area. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about CRTPO.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So, yes, one of the roles I have with the town is to serve as the liaison or on the board of the Charlotte Regional Transportation Planning Organization, or the CRTPO. And we meet in Charlotte once a month, and we get together with other mayors, commissioners, mayor pro tems, representatives of the other municipalities in the greater Charlotte area. So it's basically Mecklenburg County, part of Iredell, and part of Union County that participate. And with this board, we come up basically with recommendations for transportation planning for roads, prioritization for roads, and safety for the region. And every region, has this planning organization. Ours just happens to be CRTPO. We just recently finished a 30-year plan. So to give you some flavor, we're not just working on the issues right in front of us. We're actually planning 30 years out. Those plans get prioritized by teams within the CRTPO and pushed up to the DOT for funding. And my role from Cornelius, as I see it, is a couple of different things. One, we want to make sure that we're represented when that prioritization happens, right? And two, there are other things beyond just the 30-year planning. We have 10-year planning. We have discretionary funds that we can fight for on an annual basis. In fact, we fought and just recovered about $22 million of discretionary funds to apply towards our projects that if we did not have, then it would be Cornelius taxpayer dollars paying for it. So $22 million is a significant amount. We have a great staff in Cornelius, by the way, is extremely well respected within the CRTPO organization. That makes my job a little bit easier. But I'm basically fighting for Cornelius in this group. Fighting for the funds, fighting for the prioritization of the projects.
Which is a great thing that you're so plugged into the local transportation issues. And I still can't get past what our deputy manager Wayne Herron once said about this organization and how they approach projects. As you mentioned, Wayne and others are so technically sound that they are looked to as experts, and their comments are well taken. But Wayne tells the story, and you might remember that in a previous role, he would go to Raleigh, and the idea of getting new roads basically came down to how you could bring something of value to the panel. And he mentions how, who brought the best ham or turkey,
right,
the best lunch. So all that to say that, now that there's more data that's used to present what is the safety, what is the traffic level, what are the various components of a road being brought into the STIP or the traffic improvement plan. And that to me gives me at least some solace that it's not as political, although it may be, but it's not like it used to be in terms of how roads are getting done, the roads to nowhere. And I know you've fought very well, and the mayor has been fighting for road improvements, and that's something I am absolutely going to continue to do. And in a little bit, we'll talk about what we can do here locally. But there's so much that can be done, in my view, that we can take a different approach. And one of the things we're doing under your leadership is with the Transportation Advisory Board and moving it from, I think, maybe not having teeth to absolutely pushing us forward with projects that we can handle within our town. So tell us a little bit more about what's fondly known as TAB.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Dennis. So, and to wrap up CRTPO, I think everyone is happy, that we made these changes about 10, 15 years ago, and however long it's been with CRTPO, where we get to prioritize projects based on data. But I think it's time that we do consider that there's still gaps. So we can see those gaps at CRTPO when we see that we have the 36th worst bottleneck in the country right here in the Lake Norman region on I-77, but it doesn't show up in prioritization through CRTPO yet. So, or doesn't get the dollars from the DOT yet through our prioritization at CRTPO. So I think there's still opportunities there. Now locally within TAB, so Transportation Advisory Board, what I'm doing there is not unlike what I did in my days as the owner of a transportation management business. I'd take seemingly unrelated data or information. In the case in my business, I would take it from spreadsheets or shipping managers or whatnot. Here, I take it from people in the grocery stores and from citizens that voice their opinion. Tab is a way that those voices get represented, so they hear it too, they see it too. We have, I think we have about 9 members right now. But what we do is we are the eyes and the ears, or that committee are the eyes and the ears of the citizens. They bring together observations where things are not as safe as they should be in moving people or cars or bikes around, or it's not as efficient as it should be. And these are observations they bring to us. And then instead of just complaining about it and maybe talking about the same thing over and over again, we've started to get to the point where we're capturing it, putting it into useful data. We're putting it into a spreadsheet where we're actually prioritizing it based on what is considered the most important criteria. And we are just now getting better at learning how to present that to the staff and to CRTPO in a more meaningful way.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you and I stood at the polls for many hours together, and I'm sure you heard just as I did that traffic congestion and bottlenecks, that is really pulling down the quality of life in the Cornelius and Lake Norman area. And what I also heard was something that we're trying to defeat, and that is we can't do anything about it in Cornelius. I don't know the precise numbers, but I think it's like 100 miles of town managed roads, 30 some miles of DOT managed. But those DOT managed roads are the big ones, the West Catawbas, the Highway 115 and 21. But what we're looking at, and we're talking about citizen-led Transportation Advisory Board, we're looking at projects that are not necessarily, although most are tied in some way to DOT, but maybe you could give us a few examples of how you prioritized, how you evaluated projects that we think we can handle locally here and make a difference.
Yeah, thank you, Dennis. No, I think you're exactly right. What we heard was, some new understanding that, hey, a lot of these are DOT roads, and the state does, pay for most of these and has authority over a good bit of them. But what we also heard was fix it. Like, we can see this. Why can't you? Why can't you do this? Why can't you extend that, the stacking in that turning lane? Why can't you get, hold of DOT and fix the timing of these traffic lights? Why can't you install a safety walk so it's easier to cross the roads? And, I think, like I said, we're getting better at learning how to use this information. But one example of where we were able to do that is over the 114 or so observations we've come up with, we were able to group those into bike and ped ideas that we contributed 13 of those ideas into the bike and ped plan. So we're able to put this in useful information in ways. We're getting better at it. And under your direction, we plan on addressing things like we've done very quickly.
Yeah. We're here connecting with Mayor Pro Tem Mike Osborne. And for those of you sitting in traffic, we'll be back to talk a little bit more about transportation after these breaks.
We'll be right back with more Connecting Cornelius, your source for town updates, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Well, keep the rain gear close by. A few scattered showers as we move through the morning and midday, but more widespread rain. You can see half an inch or more on the way as we go into this evening and into tonight. A couple of showers may even linger into our Friday morning. And we're clearing and breezy. Temperatures in the low 50s were pretty mild, even getting near 60 over the weekend. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Bin 110 in Cornelius presents 4 nights of live music and entertainment. Wednesday, December 17th, come on out for karaoke. Thursday, the 18th, features a performance by Ryan Winters. On Friday, Vinyl Live takes the stage, while Save July presents a concert on Saturday. Click on bin110.com to see their live music lineup, their specialty cocktails and whiskeys, and the food menu. Friday night is the Mistletoe Sip and Shop in downtown Mooresville. Starting at 6 p.m., businesses will have open houses. There will be a strolling barbershop quartet, festive decor, loads of seasonal specials, plus good eats and drinks. Visit downtownmooresville.com for more information. It's happening downtown. Saturday is the Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. The boats will start at Blythe Landing, then head to Ramsey Creek, the Peninsula Yacht Club, and end at the Duke Energy Explorium. The parade is collecting toys for Little Smiles, which gives toys to kids in area hospitals. For more information, head to the Facebook event page, 7th Annual Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. On Saturday, Fortune 5 is performing at the Cedar Stump Pub in Statesville. This 2024 Battle of the Bands winner brings their high-energy show to the Stump. Showtime is 9 p.m. at the pub on East Broad Street. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now and runs through January 4th. The drive-through holiday light show features more than 5 million lights circling the iconic oval, pit road, and infield road course. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets and information on Speedway Christmas. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
A good soul isn't hard to find, especially if you're listening to WSIC on Tuesdays at 4.
Hello, and welcome to The Good Soul.
The Good Soul, hosted by Patty Alvarez, features real-world conversations that leave you feeling happy and rejuvenated.
Quality Car Care is your local Toyota specialist and a licensed NC inspection station. Plus, find a huge selection of quality pre-owned cars at QualityCarCareStatesville.com or call 704-871-2535.
We're back with more updates from the Town of Cornelius. Connecting Cornelius continues right now, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
This is Connecting Cornelius, and I am Cornelius Mayor Denis Bilodeau. Today I'm here with Mayor Pro Tem Mike Osborne, who is Commissioner Mike Osborne as well, a man that has a vote and is doing great things, moving us closer to taking some traffic off the roads, trying to do his best to use our committees and his reach to find some solutions to make it a better situation out on the road. But I wanted to, just to kind of button up a little discussion about what we can do here locally, is to perhaps point out a few of the recommendations that we're looking at now. And as Mike and I were talking, I think we're both of the mindset that, sooner is better, but things can take time. So what we're looking for are some quick hitters. And in the world of transportation, quick might be a year. Quick might be longer than a year. But we want to make sure that we hit head on things that you, as listeners and driving through Cornelius, what you face day to day. So, Mike, if you would just give us some idea of some of the ideas that we're thinking about for Transportation Advisory Board local projects.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Dennis. So, we continue to get better at a board of identifying specific projects as opposed to generalized projects. And we're getting better at identifying these are things that perhaps the town could influence or that might be considered more feasible, as opposed to some of the bigger ideas that, maybe we had started with. The bigger ideas are good, and we hope that those make it on the way to the next, MTP or, STIP or something of that nature. But locally, to make a quicker impact, what can we do? Safety comes up quite a bit. And we had mentioned we had about 13 items to make its way into the bike and ped plan, and they include additional crosswalks. They include the RFPs that we normally, or that we've started to install with the lights that make those crosswalks even more effective. But we see opportunities as well, like putting up the bollards coming out of the Harris Teeter, where we recognize that that's a dangerous intersection. We recognize some zipper lanes, like in front of the CVS over here on West Catawba Avenue, that causes some issues. We recognize potentially some stacking issues that seem as if they could be extended, which would allow for more cars to move through the intersections where the bottlenecks exist. Maybe similar in nature to what we saw at the improvement at Westmoreland and 21. We do see, safety is an issue, and when safety is an issue, that often can result in congestion issues as well, because if there's an accident or a delay that's caused by that ill-functioning bottleneck, then it will cause further delays. But we do capture just about everything that you could imagine, including the timing of the traffic lights that we speak of, and bring that to the attention of staff if they had not yet heard of it. Different ways, and focus on improving the diversion diamond, perhaps. Bailey Road's been a big focus. So, for example, egress off of Bailey Road, and this is just an idea, and these things will require some approval from the state and potentially town funds. But what would it look like if that functioned a little bit more like a super street, where it forced all right-hand turns onto 115 going north with a turnaround capability for those that wanted to go south, just to keep the traffic flowing, as opposed to it getting stopped with people trying to make left-hand turns going south on 115? Or is it easier to do a left-hand turn lane, but will the DOT approve it? So we're trying to provide options, right, where we might see DOT not approve the projects. On-street parking can be an issue that can cause congestion or safety issues. So that's something that we have had success as a board identifying and making improvements to. Improving street smarts to improve the ability for the citizens to communicate opportunities, maybe making that more interactive with a map or something of that nature. So we have a significant number of ideas, no lack of them.
Yes, absolutely. And I think a number of folks can identify with the improvement on Westmoreland and the backup that used to occur before the turn signals and the lanes were improved. And we also hear from neighborhoods, that Robbins Park, for example, where there might be speed issues, narrow street issues. So there are things that we can improve as we are pushing NCDOT to do the main projects, the diamond, divergent diamond, and also look after and try to be proactive, so that we don't have to hear from a driver who just experienced something that we could have proactively taken care of. So we said early on, Mike and I mentioned that we have tremendous staff. They are very responsive. And what we want to do is utilize that staff, utilize the board's power to go ahead and try as best we can to relieve some of these tie-ups, bottlenecks, areas that have come to the top on a number of occasions. But Mike, if you would, take us through how you set up the Transportation Advisory Board, the citizens, and how they're prioritizing and how they're picking the various projects that we think should happen quickly.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Dennis. So what we're doing is we're taking the citizen input through the board. So there's probably nothing that you're experiencing out there, if you're listening to this, that we have not identified as well. We're welcome, of course, to receiving input. But we take these ideas and we literally capture it in a spreadsheet. And with that spreadsheet, we've identified 4 main criteria that get scored. So we look at, is it feasible? Is this something that we could really impact? Is this something that's somewhat of a passion project? Like, there are a lot of bikers that would make quality of life better if we did this. Or is it, a policy or safety issue? Is it an education issue? And a lot of what's going on simply requires communication as well. There's a lot happening that, not everyone's aware of. And should we be spending more money, or should there be some capital expenditures made that would help improve traffic flow or safety? And is there planning? But in terms of the criteria, we're looking at, is it feasible? and whether or not, oh geez, what are they? So is it, now I've gotten, but sorry. So, certainly feasibility is a big one, passion's a big one as well. But what's the overall impact is one of the biggest ones.
Right.
So we could have something that's got a huge impact, but it's not feasible. We can not ignore that, but we won't focus on that. So what we're looking for are things that could have a high impact, but are also feasible. And those become our quick hits.
Yeah, and with a new focus on traffic as a number one priority, I think there are some dollars that could be released that maybe in the past we were thinking that maybe we should wait for another budget year, or is this too much to spend? But, I'm of the belief that it is a rainy day, and our rainy day fund is there to help put in good ideas and make them impactful in the short term, as short as we can. I also, want to make sure that you also know that we're going to look at the basics. We're not going to ignore some of the other issues that we have within the town. And, we hear about Parks and Greenway as a priority. We want to make sure we continue that. We want to look at our planning and how we look at conditional zoning. So as you think about it, Mike, beyond traffic, what else comes to mind as something that hits your table, your desk on a regular basis?
Yeah, absolutely. So connectivity obviously is a big one. So we've created this great emerald necklace around town, but how do we get to it now? How do we use it? Parks obviously are important. Something that hits my desk besides traffic is what are we doing to secure more parkland or to make things more available to our citizens? Of course, we hear regular, request for, responses to, say, noise or, other ongoing, issues between neighbors. But as a whole, I think you're right, Dennis. It typically does fall back to planning, which can impact our transportation and transportation.
Yeah, we're certainly able to multitask and connect the dots between what's happening from one aspect of being a town commissioner and looking for ways to improve safety, traffic, the experience. And quite frankly, this is a magical place. I'm passionate about Cornelius. That's why I serve on these boards, and I know you do, Mike. You're here that's cheerleading and trying to support. So that's really going to wrap up our first program, Connecting Cornelius, and I appreciate your time here this morning, Mayor Pro Tem. Mike Osborne will be helping and sharing the load and hosting a segment probably every other week. So I hope you write in, let us know who you'd like to connect with, and keep some information coming our way so that we can get back to you with what the town is doing, what the town board is doing, and what you can expect. So thank you again for tuning in, and hope you'll listen again Thursday mornings at 11 o'clock. Have a good one.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks for spending part of your holiday season with us. You can hear this full episode, plus previous ones, on the WSIC News app. WSIC,